The internet is a really strange space. And I think we've really accepted it now as just such a normal space. And it is a space in the sense that it is a place where people interact and inhabit. And it's so different to a physical space in that the barriers to entry are so much lower and it connects people that are geographically so much further apart. And I think that's a strange phenomenon that we've accepted too readily, probably because we're so saturated by the internet now. And it's so commonplace, at least for those in kind of Western developed areas, that we forget that real novelty that came with the early internet. Now, I'm 22, the early internet wasn't something I personally experienced, but you hear often of the kind of nostalgia of that age and what the potential for the internet could have been. And I think it's possible to get that back. And I was watching some of the original Vlogbrothers videos by the Green Brothers the other day, and there's so much playfulness in those early videos where they just are spitting stuff out on the internet and being like, this is fun, I'm having fun, and getting a group of people to be like, yeah, this is really cool, and I'm so glad you're having fun. And I think for whatever reasons you want to attribute algorithms, culture, whatever other forces are at play, we've lost that. Maybe you can't make those videos anymore. Maybe I'll put this out and no one will see it. And maybe we'll make 100 videos like this and no one will see it. And maybe we'll be like, oh, okay, you can't make those videos anymore. And that's okay. But also, I think to some extent you can, and people just think that you can't. There was a certain generation, I think, of my generation and probably younger, who are aware of all the faults of the internet, but never really got to experience that transition from the hope about the internet into this kind of more cynical point of view. And if only out of spite, I'd love to be able to bring back that age of the internet and bring back some of the hope and the belief that came with that. I think there is a tide that's being shifted. I think people are reverting back to spending less time on their devices and with technology, and I think that's really important. I think as we understand the kind of real stranglehold that the internet and the kind of technological tech bros have, the power that they have, it's good to kind of be aware of our place in that, but also then to form our own place in that, not simply to back away. If the more we can do to kind of stake our own claim in a space that's potentially being controlled by actors that don't have our best interests at heart and are more likely to just want to prioritize profit making or power or whatever other motives that kind of underlie someone that's willing to go to those lengths to achieve that level of power. But you can just make stuff, and so that's what we're going to be doing with my lovely partner Maddie, with our different backgrounds and our different interests, as we will explain in other videos. This is going to be a space for us to share stuff that we think is really cool and we think is really interesting, and just filling each other on our lives whilst we're long distance. She's from Colorado. I, as you might be able to tell, I'm from the UK. I live somewhere near Brighton. And we thought, why can't we just try and make this a space that people will enjoy? And so that's what this is for. So stay tuned if you want to recapture some of the original hope of the internet and the belief that it can be a positive force in the world.